ladies and gentlemen, to Long Box Chronicles month here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a movie from 2013. That movie is Snowpiercer. Before I get started, I should tell you literally everything I know about this movie. I know, one, it's based on a French comic book. Because it's based on a comic book, it qualifies for Long Box Chronicles month. Two, I know it stars Chris Evans, which is becoming a bit of a running pattern this month. Quite a few movies I've done this month star Chris Evans. Three, I know it's set in the post-apocalypse. Four, I know it's set on a train. Five, I know there's snow everywhere. At least I'm going to assume so because of the fucking title. That's it. I have not watched a single trailer. I haven't seen any clips. I didn't bother to read the back. That's all that I know, and none of that sounds interesting to me in the slightest. But what else do I know about this movie? Well, apparently, after this movie sat there and stagnated for a year, all of a sudden, everybody started to care. Because a year after this came out, I was flooded with requests. Because apparently, that is when Netflix decided to put this thing on their streaming service. And since nobody ever listens when I tell them I don't have Netflix anymore because I'm not paying for that shit, everybody assumed I could just watch it off Netflix. No. So I had to put it on the wish list, and somebody bought it, and now I get to watch it. I have no idea if this thing is going to be any fucking good at all. Frankly, I don't really think that it's going to be very interesting because a fucking train ride in the post-apocalypse just doesn't sound that interesting. But there is still that hope that this thing may be halfway decent, and the only way I'm going to find out is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Snowpiercer. So the best that this movie can give us for a post-apocalyptic story is class warfare between the paupers in the rear end of the train and the rich people in the front of the train. Are you fucking serious? That really is the best you can give us. And this movie has yet to give us anything even worth mentioning in the fucking time frame outside of rich people are dicks, so let's focus on the poor people in the back. Is it really sad when I say that Caddyshack did this fucking better? I mean, at least Caddyshack was interesting at the start and continued to be good. This thing here is starting off slow, and I almost fear that it's not going to get any more interesting from here. Well, guys, good news. We finally have a character who has some level of personality. Paul. Paul is actually kind of likable. Oh, and now those protein blocks are looking a little bit less appetizing. Actually, that looks downright fucking disgusting. But still, at least now we have an interesting character. I'm not sure how long Paul is going to be in the movie, but god damn it, at least he's the first character in this movie to have fucking personality. It only took the movie almost 40 minutes to get us somebody with a fucking personality. But still, I'm happy that we finally have someone. So is the fucking fight scene in this train car finally done? Can we please move on to something that's hopefully interesting? Guys, we just sat through a fight scene. A very long fight scene. And it was boring as shit. They could have cut that entire sequence. And do you want to know the only thing that we would have lost? We would have lost the fact that one of our lead characters, one of our shallow, lifeless, pointless, boring as fuck characters, is dead now. Oh well. Nothing of value was fucking lost. He has dozens of motherfucking clones exactly like him, who have no personality, who have no soul, and are just dragging this goddamn movie down. Guys, I did not expect this movie to be this much of a goddamn chore to watch. Holy shit, it really is painful to sit through. And a few more incredibly boring characters have been killed off. I really wish I could care, but the movie hasn't bothered to give us a reason to give a fuck about any of these characters. As hard as this movie's trying to go, look, do you happen to remember this guy? Well, he's dead now. Since the movie didn't give him any depth, they didn't give him any personality, they just had them there for the sake of being there and now opted to kill them, I can't bring myself to give a shit. Moreover, what the fuck are they doing opening fire on a train that is supposed to keep everybody protected from the cold? Don't you happen to think that a stray fucking ricochet that might happen to like zip through a fucking window might happen to cause a catastrophic leak of this ultra cold air outside that could wind up killing everybody inside the fucking train? Don't you happen to think then that having bullets in the train would be kind of a stupid thing to fucking have? Of course, guys, that though is me trying to put logic into this movie. And on top of having boring characters, logic is something else this movie knows nothing about. Well, guys, good news. Movie's finally given us a little bit of depth on our main character. Bad news, it took them 90 minutes of their 2-hour runtime to finally give us any kind of character for him outside of, oh, he lived in the tail section. My God. If this movie's pacing were any slower, if this movie's writing were any more shit, it would be almost disastrous. My God, guys, this is fucking awful. Are you really telling me Curtis is able to stop this entire train engine using only his arm? Seriously? This train's gears are, the motion of the engine is so piss weak that it doesn't immediately just sever his goddamned arm? And of course, this is all to set up for an ending that they've been hinting at and teasing for the last half an hour, and thank fuck it'll finally happen. Hopefully. Jesus Christ, why won't this fucking thing just end? Well, guys, that was Snowpiercer. Let's shut this garbage off. Fucking hell. Well, that was a painful 2 hours I'm never going to get the fuck back. Why don't we try to talk about the movie, shall we? Of course I'm going to start with writing, but before I go into the characters, or rather the lack of characters in this film, I want to try to touch on the just mind-bending lack of logic this film has. So before we even get into anything else, why exactly are all of these people stuck on a fucking train, which is basically on this which is on this endless track which is constantly circling the fucking globe? Well, it's because in 2014, global warming got so bad that every government on the planet, instead of trying to, find easier fixes, decided that they were going to launch an untested chemical into the fucking atmosphere in hopes that it was going to cool down the Earth. Well, the good news is it totally worked. Bad news, it worked a bit too well, and it triggered a second ice age. Apparently there was one person on the planet who totally knew that this chemical was not going to fucking work, who had a massive boner for trains ever since he was a kid, had built this massive track that takes 1 year for a train to go all the way the fuck around. The track goes all the way, it also goes all the way around the world, I should mention, and he was somehow able to make it air fucking tight, so that way then the ultra cold air from the outside is not able to seep in and freeze everybody inside the train to fucking death, which means that he must have had some kind of an oxygen supply built into the train, so that way the people inside of these airtight capsule cars are not fucking suffocating. Of course, the train is able to knock fucking snow out of its path. It goes into a spot in the train, which then melts it into water, so that way the water can be purified, so everybody has that. They have a bountiful supply of meat and protein blocks. Of course, the protein blocks go to the poor unwashed masses in the tail end of the fucking train. He knew all of this. He knew all this shit was gonna happen. And somehow a bunch of other people who apparently didn't know that this whole seeding the atmosphere thing was going to fail all piled into this fucking train, and thus we are led into our film, whose primary conflict is upper class versus lower class, the head of the train versus the tail of the train. I referenced Caddyshack at the start of this video. I'm going to tell you guys right now, that is a horrible insult to Caddyshack. Not only did Caddyshack do this whole fucking, you know, like upper class versus lower class thing better, Caddyshack fucking 2 did it better. Process that shit for just a fucking minute. But see, that though is because Caddyshack 2 actually had characters who had depth, who had fucking personality. This movie has none of that. The closest we have to personality is at the 90-minute mark, Chris Evans' character, Curtis, who is the most boring human being you will ever see committed to fucking film, decides to drop this massive sob story on the viewer 90 minutes in. 90 minutes into your 2-hour movie, your boring, pointless, worthless fucking character decides to randomly go, oh yeah, by the way, heads up, cannibal, I have been forced to eat people when we were first put on the train, and I can tell you that babies taste best. Take pity on me. Fuck me dead. Guys, you could not have dropped a stupider twist any fucking harder. And yet that sob story also leads into why his best friend is so, I mean, it also gives us the origin of his painfully British bestie, and also tells us about a couple other characters who are all tied into this. And of course that is before the movie hits us with even more goddamned twists. Every twist this movie brings is stupider than the fucking last. And while I was totally willing to drop the fucking cannibalism bomb on you, because goddammit, it is not worth waiting 90 minutes to hear it, I am not going to spoil any of the other twists. Because if you really want to watch this thing, by all means, go right ahead. But I think it might be best to know that Chris Evans Chris Evans' character, Curtis, loves to eat babies as you're going into the film. That might actually help, because then you can at least process in your brain that he at one point actually had a personality, even if said personality was just that he liked to eat fucking babies. At least it's something. At least it's more than what the fucking movie gives until the 90-minute mark. Jesus, God. No other character has any other personality outside of, oh, well, one of them is really British. One of them at one point played the fucking doctor on fucking, you know, Doctor Who. Let's see, one of them is black and is looking for a child. One of them is ginger and is looking for a child. And, oh, he also had a fucking arm, you know, frozen and then snapped off of his body. Of course, you never see that on camera, but oh well, who fucking cares? That really is about as close as he ever gets to personality. By the way, every single one of those characters I just mentioned, and this honestly is in no way a spoiler, well, it is somewhat, except you should see it, you know, coming within the first couple of minutes. Every last one of them, except for Chris Evans, dies. Actually, even he might be dead. That ending's sort of open about that. Anyway, our characters have absolutely no fucking personality to really speak of. Again, until 3/4 of the way through your goddamn movie, and then one of them finally gets some level of fucking personality. The only character who actually seemed to have some sort of personality going into the film leading up to that point is there for exactly one scene, and then they all just sort of blitz past him as they're going forward in the fucking train. So, writing here is an absolute disaster. Our story has some of the worst pacing I have ever seen. Our characters have negative personality. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now. Do you see this? Do you see this fucking pen here? This pen has more personality. This pen has more depth. This pen is more likable than any character this motherfucking movie could dare fucking trudge up. Again, until one of those pens goes, oh, and baby pens taste awesome. That's really the closest we ever get to fucking personality from anybody, and it's nothing short of a shame. So, our writing fucking sucks. Do you want to know the shocker, though, guys? As absolutely disturbingly terrible as the writing is, our acting here is really fucking solid. Our entire cast, bless them, put their absolute most into this. Every last actor is giving their all, and they're all turning in fantastic performances. It's just a fucking shame that the goddamn script that they were given sucks this much ass. The script is so hideously bad. And yet our cast turned in fantastic performances. I am surprised by that. Shit, guys, I am almost beside myself in shock at the fact that our cast was able to take this dog shit script and do something with it. My God, that, seriously, guys, is almost fucking frightening. In fact, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, outside of the fucking, outside of the horrendous writing, everything else in this movie is awesome. CG in here is really good. Makeup effects are awesome. Our fucking costuming is great. Our camera work is good, except for the fucking scene around the middle, which is shot in night vision and also in shaky cam, which is bringing back memories of that horrendously terrible rollerball remake, which also had a shaky cam night vision scene out of fucking nowhere, which had no reason to be there. Of course, this movie attempts to fucking justify it by going, oh yeah, by the way, every single person you're fighting now suddenly have night fucking vision, and we're going to be going into a long tunnel. So basically now the viewers are going to get to either see night vision or nothing but solid darkness for the next couple of minutes. So strap in. Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, that honestly is like the one scene I think we did not need. We did not need the overlong, drawn-out fight scene in that fucking train, car, as the train is going over a bridge, which apparently is supposed to signify that it is a new fucking year, and then they go through this long tunnel, and then there's nothing but darkness or fucking shaky night fucking vision bullshit. That entire scene did not have to be there, and it's probably one of the only negatives I'm going to cite next to the fucking writing. Our soundtrack here is good. Our sound mix is good. I do have to comment on subtitles because there are a lot of characters here who do not speak English, and thankfully they are all subtitled. At one point, one of them is talking, and we have a shot outside of the train. You guys happen to know outside of the train, where there's nothing but snow, and it's all perfectly white? Yeah, it probably wasn't the best idea to go with white subtitles when everything outside is pure white, and thus you can't read half the fucking subtitle in that goddamn shot. Again, that is a minor problem. It could have been fixed by putting a black outline around the subtitles, or maybe making the subtitles yellow. Doing anything outside of just doing plain white subs would have totally fixed that one shot. Since everything else in the film is so fucking dark, it's not even a problem. But in that one shot, actually, I think there might have been another shot too, where you cannot read the subtitles because it's just bleeding into the massive, copious amounts of white that are seen in the background. Beyond those couple of things, the subtitles here are fine. Really, guys, this thing here is a movie that would probably have been a lot better if the writers, I believe, actually took some level of effort in penning something decent. Instead, we get this lazy, slipshod script that sucks fucking ass through a goddamn garden hose. And even though the script is shit, everything else is great, unfortunately, guys. A film is only as good as the script given, and because of that, Snowpiercer is not going to get a recommendation from me. You can have the best acting in the world. You can have top-notch special effects. You can have camera work that is amazing. You can have everything fall into place, but guess what? When your script is this fucking terrible, your movie is shit. Plain and fucking simple. This thing is almost unwatchably dull. The plot goes absolutely fucking nowhere. Our characters are flat and lifeless once more until 3/4 of the way in, until one of them decides to finally force a little bit of personality onto himself, and it just didn't fucking take. Guys, this movie is completely ruined by its ungodly, terrible script. And because of that, this thing is never getting a fucking recommendation from me. This movie sucks. It is a 2-hour goddamned chore, and it didn't have to be that much of a chore if the writers actually fucking cared. Now, Snowpiercer came off the Amazon wish list. The person who sent it in was Robert. Duh, yeah, it was Robert. Robert, dude, I thank you. I thank you because I was sort of curious about this. I was sort of hoping that the movie was better. Shit, I was hoping that the movie was going to be good. But I wouldn't have known any of that if you hadn't have sent it to me, and for that, dude, I thank you. You fucking rock. Guys, please swing on over to Robert's profile on Amazon. Check out everything that he has written there. Again, dude, I thank you for sending in this movie and sending in so many other movies, man, because you have sent in so many, and that is absolutely amazing. Now, speaking of things which are absolutely amazing, I need to wash the taste of this filth out of my mouth. I'm going to go browse around in my Blu-ray collection, try to find something which has better writing than this. And you know what? I'm looking up at my shelf, and Biodome was the first thing that popped out. Do you know how fucking sad it is when Biodome has better writing than you do? Guess what? Biodome has better writing than this shit. I think I'm going to go and watch Biodome. Why? Why not? Anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.